Rita Colwell, founding editor of the GeoHealth Journal at the American Geophysical Union. I also served as the director of the National Science Foundation from 1998 to 2004. I'm a microbial ecologist turned molecular biologist. I did my training at Purdue University as a bacteriologist at the time when bacteriology was a separate department before it became part of a life sciences department. I did a master's in genetics mainly because I had been on my way to medical school, having been accepted, but I met a very handsome graduate student who became my husband for the next 62 years. I did the master's in genetics, which turned out to be very fortuitous because it allowed an opportunity to really learn fundamental genetics at a time when microbial genetics was really emerging. And from there, I went to the University of Washington, where Jack, my husband, and I did our PhDs together. He in physical chemistry, and I in ending up in marine microbiology. A long story there too as well. But I taught at Georgetown University after a postdoc in Canada at the National Research Council, and then moved to the University of Maryland, where I spent the rest of my career. So that in a nutshell is the traverse of my background over the last many years. This is a very interesting time when we now are beginning to appreciate the intersection, the connection of the environment and human health. It's been very difficult to demonstrate that. Excuse me. It's been very difficult to connect the environment to human health because over the last 60 years or so, we've put our attention to understanding the intricacies of the metabolism and the genetics of bacteria, viruses, fungus, protists. The interaction with the environment has been really in the test tube. It's been in the petri dish, and it hasn't not really expanded to the natural world. But we now know that massive epidemics, and COVID-19 is yet another one of them, and a very, very frightening one. These epidemics are driven by environmental factors. The second point that I would make is that we haven't been able to handle the massive amounts of data, but now with the computational systems, we are able to do that. So this is a perfect blending and connecting of the environment, microorganisms, human health, with the capacity to do the analysis. So it's a sort of maturation of many disciplines at a time when it can be brought together into an explanatory way for understanding epidemics and understanding the environment and the role that it plays in human health. This brings the AGU right into the center of it. The AGU, obviously, is where we gather to discuss shared discoveries in environmental processes. And the geological, the meteorological, the general environmental connections to living systems, and the trifecta of humans, microorganisms, the environment, can now be explored really in great detail and in very valuable ways through the AGU. The journal is really the culmination for me uh, in my entire career, because I started out with a deep interest in medicine, and through chance, meeting my husband, deciding we would do our PhDs together, ending up studying marine microbiology at the University of Washington. I think I can say that I was the first marine microbiologist to be trained as such in a program of marine microbiology at the UW way back in the 60s. This interaction of the microorganisms, the environment, and human health now finds a place of its own. It now is encompassed in a journal with contributions from terrific scientists from around the world. So it's a nice capping of the career. Well, starting a journal of any stripe is always a challenge. You need to, first of all, bring together like-minded individuals who can comprise the editorial board. But then you have to understand your audience and how to serve the audience, but also at the same time to attract the audience. So it's not an easy task. It's difficult, a challenge, but fun, because when you do bring together the new discoveries, the new information, it's a kind of an aha of a different kind from the lab discovery. It's an aha in learning how you can communicate and share new information on a global basis. Well, first of all, accuracy, integrity, and honesty. One of the most important characteristics of a fine journal is bringing the facts, the data together in a rational interpretation that's meaningful and useful. It requires an integrity really of the highest order, because you have readers out there, individuals who are absorbing the information, and it really is a serious responsibility to ensure that the information is accurate, it's timely, and it's actionable. In other words, it can be used either for building further an hypothesis, or more to the point, in providing societal value and useful application as well, ultimately. Initially, discovery, of course, is the great fun part. I'm hoping that 10 years out, the journal will have matured. It will have a wide readership. It will have utility in providing a forum for really bright, especially young investigators, but creative investigators, to present information about which they're very excited and interested. But then it will have influenced science so that the understanding of the environment and the necessity of maintaining the complexity of our environment for our health, but also for sustainability of planet Earth, will have been explored and will have been explained so that it will be fully accepted. I hope that we will understand the diversity in the environment, life, biodiversity, geodiversity for that matter, is critical for sustaining life, and that a snail darter is not just a hobby chasing and maintaining and preventing its extinction, but that it plays a critical role, and that life is indeed a very complex, interwoven pattern, and we rip it up to our detriment and to our demise, perhaps. So I hope a decade out, we'll have this richer understanding of the environment, human health, human interactions, and the glory of the geo world in which this is all placed. Persevere. Make sure that you follow your dream, and especially for women, STEM scientists, stay the course, no matter the impediment, find a way over, around, or through it. Even if your path gets very zigzaggy instead of straight to your ultimate goals, stay the course. Science, discovery, it's a tremendously exciting, challenging, yes, even fun career. So I think for new scientists, young scientists, it may seem bleak with respect to funding for the moment, but these things go in cycles and patterns. Just be sure that you choose what you wish to do because you're interested and not because you think it's going to get you a job. What you learn today, within a decade, half, if not all, of what you have learned will have changed and morphed, and perhaps even become, well, much of it will become obsolete. So you will have to be able to change yourself and to be able to be a continuous learner as well as a scientific producer. I would just add that the AGU, I think, has come into its own in the 21st century. It's always been important, uh, but it has been, like much of science, highly disciplinarily focused. And now I think its capacity to reach out interdisciplinarily is really exciting. So I see a great long future for the AGU.